Hey guys, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday. I'm your hostess Jocelyn. Today is Tuesday, October 8th, and we're talking all about sex, love, and magic today. Y'all see I got my lovely, sexy co-host. I'm gonna call her co-host today because it's just us two. So we're gonna hold it down.
I'll take it.
Miss Jennifer Eden. I'm gonna allow her to introduce herself, but hey.
Hi.
Oh my God, you know it. We have to hug. Y'all got to see my little butt, but that's it. So hey.
Hi.
Oh my goodness, tell the people who you are. For anybody who could possibly not know.
Right, I have to tell the people because,
Of course I.
So, my name is Jennifer Eden. I am a poet, event host, and sex educator based in Baltimore, but traveling all up and down the East Coast and soon expanding beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
I specialize in sex education with a historical context of empowering Black women and moving toward queer and POC inclusion in sex ed curriculum.
Okay. Period.
That's what I do.
And I'm happy to have you here traveling all the way from Baltimore to come see little me. So I appreciate it. So welcome. But yeah, I had to have you on today's show because I know you are like all things sex, right? So
I'm
I
trying.
feel like all things sex, like when I think of, not when I think of sex, I think but you know.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. When you think of sex, think of Jennifer Eden.
But it's like,
it works.
I feel like you're really, really informed in the way that you deliver the information to, like you said, people of color, and then you do definitely do a lot of representation for the LGBTQ community. So I had to have you here because I feel like we all think, I'm gonna say we, because I'm not gonna give y'all a whole lot of like today. I feel like we all think we know when it comes to sex, but I feel like we have no idea. Some of the things I see you post or I've heard you say, I'm like,
Well, good. That's why I put it there, for you to think about it and for you to figure out if what I'm saying is relevant to you and what you do, or if it's some information that you can hold on to and pass on when you're having, those intimate conversations with either a partner or a friend or somebody that you trust to have those conversations with.
because I'll just be like, So what is the most, let's just get right into it. What do you feel is the most common misconception about sex?
I think the most common misconception is that it's your partner's job to figure out how to please you. I think that all people, but predominantly women, people of color, LGBTQ folks, people that, deal with all sorts of bullshit all day, every day, we need to take our pleasure into our own hands. And so whether that means taking some time for some hands-on exploration and figuring out what you like, or having some conversations and exposing yourself to like different ideas than what you might have been used to or what was readily available to you. So like watching a different category in your little Pornhub search, or like going to a party that you might learn a thing or two while you're there.
So I know that you said, because I don't watch porn. Is that bad?
I don't think it's bad.
I just feel like I just don't feel like it.
No, I don't think it's bad at all. I think that there are polar opposite opinions when it comes to do people watch porn? It's either nobody watches it, it's shameful, no, not at all.
Yeah, I don't feel that.
Or it's like everybody watches porn and nobody talks about it. And I think like most things, there is some middle ground. I think some people, that's just not their thing, and that's fine. And then other people are really, really into it and use it almost as their sex education, which is also a misconception. Porn is not a documentary, so please do not just watch a flick and think that you're going to be able to recreate whatever it is.
Dramatized and fabricated. So I feel
and these are professionals. These are people who it is their job to make this look pleasurable, to make it look accessible, to make it
not exciting all the time.
It's not exciting all the time, and everything is not for everybody. So, you might see something in a movie and want to recreate it and then realize that just doesn't feel good to you. And that's fine. You don't have to feel the pressure to be
swinging around the chandeliers up in here, okay?
Or you can, if that's something you really want to explore, you work your way up to that. It's not like I watched it today and I'm going to go do it tomorrow. No, if I'm going to swing from a chandelier, then I need to build my upper body. I need to work on some core strength. I might need to reinforce the beams in my ceiling. There are some preparations that go into exploring in that way.
So it's not off the table, basically. It's just gonna take a little bit of prep before you get there. So you also mentioned hands-on exploration.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I feel like, and I'll let you elaborate, because obviously that's masturbation, guys, right?
Right, we don't have to use euphemisms here. Like we're
It's masturbating,
grown
touching
people.
yourself, and being one with your body.
self-pleasure.
But because I feel like a lot of people don't effectively masturbate.
You are so right. And this is so funny that you say that because I try to introduce that as a topic all the time. And people are like, no, I know what I like. Like,
Exactly.
bada boom, bada bam, I'm out. And it's like, well, do you set the mood for yourself? Like, do you have the same expectations of yourself as you do of your partners? If you want your partner to cook for you and to have rose petals and candles on the bed, then like, why don't you make sure that you're well fed and you got your candles out and your rose petals for yourself?
You know what? I like where this is going.
Yeah, like you get to feel sexy for yourself. You get to put on a piece of lingerie or whatever like makes you feel in that space. It shouldn't just be like, I'm laying here, I ain't got nothing to do, I'm gonna masturbate. Which, like, don't get me wrong, that's totally a thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you might just want to go ahead and do the quick approach, but you deserve to please yourself in the same way, if not better, than you like apply to your partners.
I never thought of it like that because me personally, I only masturbate to go to sleep.
That's a valid thing. You
Like,
know,
I
it
really
builds up
do,
like
and it's really
endorphins,
quick.
It relaxes you.
I'm telling you all my business today, but I really do, and it's usually really quick. But I don't set the mood. I'm gonna try that. I think you guys should try that. Rose petals, feeding.
Yeah, you know, whatever your thing is, whatever gets you in the mood. It could be like an action movie and some popcorn. That's what
Netflix
gets you
and
there.
chill
It's
with
with
your
yourself. Exactly. Like if that's what gets you there, then you get to do that with yourself and enjoy that personally also.
Wow. Do you masturbate a lot?
Define a lot.
Okay.
I mean,
I can change the question around it.
okay.
How often do you masturbate?
You know, it depends on the mood. It depends on the headspace that I'm in. Like masturbation does make you happy. Like it relaxes you, it raises your endorphins, it's a stress relief. So like if you're having a bad day, then yeah, you might want to be like, you know what, when I get home.
But another day, take the stress away. Period.
Exactly.
I like it.
Exactly.
I need to work on that then, because I think we got a question. What's the question?
A viewer would like to know how much is too much masturbation?
Anything is too much when it interferes and takes away from other parts of your life and other things that make you happy and are necessary to your like survival. So if you're calling out of work to sit at home all day and masturbate, then like you might want to scale back a little bit and reprioritize your time. But if you're masturbating every day, 2-3 times a day, but you're still holding down a job, you still have a healthy.
So it's like
social-
drugs.
Exactly, like anything.
So like if you're not strung out, then rock out.
Exactly. The same thing can be applied to like any other potential addiction. Like if you're doing it in a way that feels good to you and isn't taking away from the rest of your life, isn't harming anybody in the process, then like by all means have at it.
Wow. So that's not, so unless it's interfering, you don't consider it to be an addiction. So let me take that viewer's question and then say, is there a such thing in your opinion as too much masturbation when you're in a relationship? Or is
This is
kind of
such a polarizing topic.
Okay.
I don't think so. Because
Okay.
again, my belief is that your pleasure is your job
Right.
and your priority. So how can you tell your partner, I really enjoy this thing, if you don't allow yourself to experience it? That's when you end up with a lot of like the awkward fumbling around trying to figure out how to please each other without having conversations about it, or just putting these expectations on your partner to figure it out.
like you know what to do.
Right, like go ahead, like you know, you took sex ed in high school and that should teach you how to make me come. And that's just not the case. So I think that it's really important for you to feel comfortable exploring your body, like whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whatever your case is, like your body is still your body and
right.
your pleasure is still your right and your job.
You're right in your job. What's the other side of it? Because you said it's a polarized
Because the opposite side of the argument is that when you're in a relationship, sex is something that you share exclusively with your partner.
Right.
And so for you to masturbate or for you to make yourself come is like taking away from your experience with your
It's like, well, what about me? I guess you don't need me, huh?
But I feel like if I can't eat a meal without you, if I can go to a movie without you, all of those things, these are still things that I enjoy and are necessary to me.
Right.
So why would I have to take that away from myself because
Why do I have to wait for
now?
you?
Yeah.
So stop attaching so much to your partners. It's just sex. I'll get to you. As long as you have enough for mine. I feel like as long as you got enough left for me, then
Exactly, and that's why I said as long as it's not taken away from other parts of your life. If you know that sex with your partner is an important part of your life, then you want to make sure that you still have, enough energy at the end of the day to make that happen.
That'd be the thing.
But if you've already tapped yourself out, then you and your partner are not going to have, the interaction that you want.
Oh man. Wow. So what are some common things that people come to you for? Because I know you speak a lot of places, and what do they not get the most, or what are the major questions that you get? Because I know there has to be a million.
There are, and they vary. I get the whole spectrum of questions, everything from here's a picture of a body part, tell me what's wrong with it. And so, yeah, I get a lot of those in my DMs. And so,
Like a dick? Okay.
Pretty much.
Just because I'm all done like a arm, what is she?
Unsolicited dick pics, or a picture of
But it had bumps on it?
yeah, it could be any number of things. And so my response to those questions is I'm not a clinician. And so if you do have a health concern, then you need to go see a healthcare professional.
Right.
And also unsolicited dick pics are never okay, even if they are for medical advice. So there's that. But yeah, I can't diagnose anybody.
Right.
I can't tell you, what you have or what treatment course you need to follow. And so those questions are absolutely reserved for the professionals. But one of the most common questions that I get is always something along the lines of how do I get comfortable talking about sex? How do I incorporate these terms into my vocabulary in a way that I don't giggle about or that don't feel really awkward to me, because we don't have a lot of practice talking about sex.
That's true. It's either, like you said, so taboo, it's nobody ever says anything, you're just down there just trying to figure yourself out, or it's well, I just assume you think I know.
Exactly. It could be a number of reasons. It could be the gender gap where, boys are very much raised as sex is a thing that you can do, and girls are very much raised as sex is a thing you cannot do. Wow. And so when you get older, there's this expectation that men know what they're doing because they've just been doing it. So that's a whole other topic. But I think that as adults, it's really important to figure out how to talk about sex. And so it could be anything from just repeating certain words. If you need to get comfortable saying vulva because you've never referred to your vulva as what it is, then just say it. Look in the mirror and say it. Write it down a couple times and just get used to it.
I knew this was gonna be the silliest episode for me.
I like it.
So you basically, that's your advice for people, it's just okay, well, just get comfortable with the terminology, get comfortable with the words, because I know that conversation or that communication piece is usually the biggest issue when it comes to sex.
And get comfortable calling your body parts and what you do things that you're comfortable calling them. Okay. I think that for a lot of people, we either only got the clinical terms that we heard from our doctors or from our sex ed teachers, or we got whatever our parents called it, or if
like
they
a little
called
cootie
it.
cake.
Exactly.
Your little pocketbook.
Exactly. So I want to hear that. So you're a whole grown person trying to tell somebody I really want you to lick my pocketbook, and it's no, we need to come up with something that feels sexy and puts us in the mood and doesn't make us feel like a child, or doesn't remind us of trauma. Because there are some terms that might have been used in a traumatic or traumatizing way that you don't want to hear when you're in the mood to have sex.
Whoa, now I'm done.
Exactly.
We got another question?
Yes, a viewer would like to know, how do you help break a shy partner if you are ready to explore?
I love the way that question is worded. How do you break a shy partner?
Come on, girl.
Come on, we're doing it. I think that when it comes to partners who maybe one person is more well-versed or more practiced or more just kinky in what they like, and the other partner might be vanilla, which is not a bad thing, or just less experienced.
So vanilla is the boring term?
Vanilla simply means not kinky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, let's elaborate on kinky. What is kinky? Isn't it kinky month? Kinky?
It is. It's National Kink
National
Month.
Kink
We are a
Month.
week in, so I hope that we are all celebrating.
I'm gonna start.
Yes, but National Kink Month is a time to bring awareness to what are labeled as alternative sexual practices. I don't think any sexual practices are alternative because people do whatever they like, whether they talk about it or not. But when we talk about kink specifically, that covers fetishes, that covers BDSM, that covers any sort of particulars when it comes to like sexual turn-ons and sexual practices that might be considered out of the mainstream.
Okay, well you can finish answering the question. I just wanted to figure out what is kink before I be out here talking heavy like, girl, so kinky. It's like, no, you're actually on the vanilla side.
And that's fine. If that's where you are, you can
No,
tell
I
me.
want a little flavor in mine.
Well, experiment. Just don't judge yourself if you try something and you're like, nope, I think vanilla is where I belong.
Check me
It's
out.
okay if that's the case.
I'm
But
gonna do like a little vanilla bean or French vanilla. I'm gonna put some spice in my
you
vanilla.
put a sprinkle on top, something.
Because that's it.
That might be it, and that's fine if that is where you are. But when it comes to breaking a shy partner, I think pacing is really important. I think that it's important not to rush yourself or your partner because it can lead to a lot of frustration. It can lead to issues and arguments outside of the sexual context. And so it's really important to not rush your partner, but also make space for them to learn and grow and for them to explore with you and also for them to have the option of saying, I'm just simply not into this.
Yeah, it's like, no, thank you.
Right.
Don't make them feel pressured.
Yeah, I'm all about encouraging folks to try things. Now, there are all sorts of valid reasons why somebody might not want to try something. Like we said before, it might be trauma, it might be dysphoria, it might be any number of things that make somebody like turned off to a particular activity. But if it's something that you're just like, I've never tried it before, or like, I thought it was weird, but like, now
But let's see.
Exactly. Like you might as well just give it a try. And what I tell people is if you try it once and you hate it, you never have to do it again.
See me, I'm like a try anything twice type of person. So it's like, if it didn't go well, maybe it was these circumstances. Let's try it one more time just to be sure.
I mean, that is absolutely valid as well. I think that what often happens when it comes to sexual experimentation or really any kind of new experience is that you try it once, you don't like it, and then it's like, no, I didn't like it. I'm not going to do that ever again. But there's a lot of factors at play when it comes to sex. It comes to, your mood overall, how your day went. It could be the temperature in the room. It could be
that air conditioner.
Okay, it could be the person's hands were ashy. It could be a number of things that make you just be like, you know what? This particular set of things did not make this a great experience for me.
On top of, it could be the partner.
It very
It's like, you know what? I would probably like this if it wasn't you.
that is also valid.
Or it didn't work then, and then you try it again with somebody else, and it's like, who knew?
Exactly.
Go figure.
Exactly.
I could have enjoyed that. I don't know if we got. I see you got some treats over here. What's all this?
I do. I brought a ton of stuff to talk about. So I think that when I was talking earlier about getting comfortable with certain terminology and certain concepts outside of your own practices or own understanding, reading is a really good place to start.
Yes.
And so I have a couple of books that I recommend to everybody.
Okay, so
This one is pretty new. It's called Pleasure Activism. It is by Adrienne Maree Brown, a woman of color. So it's really exciting to have like material by a woman of color to be able to refer to. But it's about taking ownership of your sexuality in spite of the oppressions that you face as a member of a marginalized population.
Wow.
So, yes, absolutely.
Pleasure activism, the politics of feeling good. Ooh. Y'all know I
And the thing I really like about does speak on race. It does speak on socioeconomics. It does speak on like all of the various factors that are at play when it comes to like how you're able to let yourself feel good and let yourself have a moment of pleasure amongst all the other things that you're responsible for.
And so many people don't realize that those factors do apply across the board. You know, a lot of times it's like, oh, well, you know, being a woman of color or anything like that, it's just like, oh, maybe only in the job market or whatever, but you don't even consider that it could affect your sex life.
Absolutely.
The sweetness of stuff. I'm just looking through it, y'all.
It's a good one. I think that, you know, folks should read it, even if
Yeah.
you're not particularly like interested in sexuality.
Mhm.
But if you are, like I said, a member of a marginalized population, it's important to know how all of your identities play into your sexuality and vice versa.
Because that goes into those stigmas, just like, oh, black girls don't do that.
Exactly.
Or that's for gay people.
Exactly.
Or, you know, all
right,
those things.
doing this makes me gay, or like this makes me not Christian, or this is a sin.
Yeah.
And so it's important to figure out how all of how you've been socialized and how you've been conditioned plays into how you're able to let yourself feel good.
I need to read this.
So this is another one. This is actually probably one of the books that started me on my sex educator journey. It is called Perv, The Sexual Deviant in All of Us. It is by Jessie Baring. And it is about all sorts of kinks and fetishes that when you hear for the first time, you would probably be like, what in the hell? But folks
Like
are
in a good
sharing
way, or
a good way, a confused way. Well, it's nice to know that some people do that, but that's not for me.
Right.
Way. This book is how I learned about, I believe it's called melissophilia, which is a sexual attraction to bees. And so it could be the sound that they make, it could be the feeling of getting stung, it could be just the optics of a honeycomb and seeing the bees, you know, go to work.
wow.
And so, yeah, it's really interesting.
That's
Just
spicy.
yeah, there's all sorts of.
Give me some more. Look at me and tell me some more. That's in there.
So there are a few others that somebody just put out a top 10 most outlandish fetishes. I don't remember like what website it was that published it, but trichophilia is one of them that is being turned on by hair. And so that could be a particular like hairstyle that really gets you there. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he just got a fresh cut.
They love it.
A nice little lineup might get you there, or like a freshly twisted lock.
Okay.
That could be your
I think
thing.
I like the freshly twisted locks.
Same. I
Okay.
would very much admit to
Okay.
being a trichophile. In that way, I'm very turned
I didn't know
on by
this was a thing.
It's a thing, I'm telling you. Keep me around, I'll push you on.
Yes, putting me all the way on. What else?
And it could be, when it comes to trichophilia, it could be body hair too. I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot
That's
of
what I
shame and
thought.
stigma around body hair, especially on feminine presenting people. But for some people, that is a huge turn on. For
Yeah.
some people, they absolutely want a soft body with hair on it. And that can absolutely be sexy.
Yeah, because I remember doing a poll about like, do you like it like hairy, shaved, bald, trimmed, and people are into the hairy, the little bush. I think I could do a bush as long as it's like relaxed. I just get like a little texturizer on
Well, you know,
it.
you are supposed to care for your body hair.
Yeah,
The
like
same
condition
way
is
that
deep
you care for
conditioning.
your head
The little
hair.
plastic wrapper. But anyway, okay, what are they?
Absolutely. Like, use your natural hair products.
Okay,
Or
put the
your
can
body
to
hair
get
as
that
well.
oil down there.
Exactly.
And make it soft, and I can rock with it.
Exactly. That's all you got to do.
So where's some of the other ones?
The fetishes?
Yeah.
So, you
Now
know,
I'm excited.
so how familiar are you with BDSM?
Not much. Or I might be, but they might not.
Okay.
Or they may be, and I might not.
Okay, that's fine. This can be a conversation for everybody. So I think when a lot of people hear BDSM, they think somebody's getting their ass beat.
Yeah.
And
I'm thinking like cuffs with things on. I mean, with like, you know.
it could be that. It could very well be that.
And
But
paddles and stuff like that.
it could also be that. But the key component that makes it not abuse and not violence is consent. Everybody involved in a BDSM situation is consenting to what's going on and consenting to stop if we realize that something is happening that we didn't agree to.
So like the safe word. That's
Exactly. So a lot more people might be finding the term safe word. So
Pineapple, apple, starfish.
let it to be something that works for you and something that stands out in the moment. If your safe word is like daddy, then that might not actually get somebody to stop. But if your safe word is school bus, that's not something you're expecting to hear in that moment. So it's going to call your attention to what's going on so that you can check in.
Yeah. So get good safe words, y'all. Don't use daddy or pull my hair. I don't even know what could be a bad one, but some of those basically. Okay.
So
I'm learning, y'all. Y'all know I keep my notes on the side.
That's what I'm here for. But BDSM, so I guess we should talk about what that acronym kind of stands for. So it can be defined a couple of different ways, because each letter stands for multiple things.
Okay.
But just an overarching kind of commonly used breakdown is bondage, domination, submissive, and masochism.
What's the last word mean?
Masochism has to do with pain dynamics. So like sadism and masochism would be like the counterparts. One person is into giving pain and the other person is into receiving pain.
I must find like that.
I'm sure we all do. Whether folks
you think you do, you might not know you do, but yeah.
And as it is with everything, there's levels to it. So
Yeah.
somebody might say they're into BDSM and that means they like being tied to the rafters and spanked, and somebody else might like being tied to their bedpost and tickled, and that's all under the umbrella. There's levels to everything. So some folks might want, more extreme, or what we would consider more extreme types of play, and then other folks might want a gentler, softer touch, because there can be, tickling and sensation play and temperature play and all of those things too. It's not all painful stuff.
So how would that work if you're not? Because I'm not naturally ticklish. I don't think that would work for me. I would probably have to use one of the other ones.
So I am the exact opposite. I am very ticklish in a non-sexy way. So if somebody tries to tickle me in a sexual capacity, it is turning to a fight. Like, it is no longer cute, it is no longer a mood, it is no longer a vibe. Like, safe word and get out. Like, that is how it goes.
Like, why would you do this?
But you never know, in the right mood and the right set of circumstances, you might get a little tickle.
Get a little tingle with the tickle. Okay?
Exactly. You might have on your sexy little number, and you might have some Sade playing or whatever gets you in the mood. Have a little feather tickler, and it just feels good to you.
Write that one down too. I think I could get down with the feather.
Yeah, I think that it's also important to know that it doesn't cost a lot to try a lot of these things. I think that it can be really intimidating to go into some of the sex shops and see these price tags on things. And it's like, okay, like you can walk up and down South Street and spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars and not like anything that you bought, and you can't return it because you already used it.
Exactly.
That is nasty.
I don't
not return used sex toys.
You're used up little.
I don't care how much you sanitize it. I don't care if you stick it back in the package all cute. Like, you know you used it. If that lady got arrested for licking ice cream, then it is absolutely a public health and safety concern to use reused sex toys. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. But you don't have to go into a store and spend $50 to $100 on a toy to see if you like it. You can go to the dollar store and get a feather duster and use that for some sensation play. You can use, you want to be careful with the kind of candles you use if you want to do some wax play or temperature play, because traditional candle wax is going to get really hot and could potentially burn you. So you want to use something that's like a soy wax or something that's meant to be used as like a massage candle that is going to melt into something that is going to feel good on your body and that's not going to leave welts.
I didn't know that. So don't use your regular Glade plug-in candles.
No, don't use your Bath and Body Works little 3-wick. Like, those are not meant for human contact.
Wow.
You're going to want to use something that's specifically labeled massage candle. Soy candles can be really good for it as well. So you just want to be mindful of the temperature when you're doing temperature.
Because I thought it was just anyone like on that movie.
No. See, again, movies, you want to recreate stuff, and that's not exactly what you want to be doing.
Do we have a question?
Yes, a viewer would like to know, how often should a person clean their toys?
Clean your toys before and after every use.
Okay.
Yes, I know that it can feel a little unsexy in the moment to be like, ooh, I really want to use this thing, but like, let me go rinse it off. But at least do that.
Yeah.
You want to store your toys somewhere cool and somewhere that they're going to be like covered so that you're not accumulating dust on them.
Little flirties and stuff.
Yeah, you want to make sure that they're, in a box and a shoe box and something that's airtight.
Y'all don't even know what I use, but I keep mine in little.
So, fun fact, if you're a craft girl like me and go to the Michaels just to see what they have on sale, those cute little like treasure chest boxes, they have them in so many different patterns that match every decor. Nobody would ever know that that's where you keep your things. It just looks like a cute little accessory from the Michaels.
Period.
It's Jennifer Eden, aka Slut of the Month. Catch me on Talk to Me Tuesday with Just Jocelyn, Tuesday at 9 p.m. I'll be talking about sex, pleasure, and all the things you need to know. But yeah, speaking of cleaning your toys, so you can always use a toy cleaner. This one's from #LubeLife, and it's pretty convenient because it's just a spray. So you spray it on, it's a light mist, and then you just rinse it off.
Okay.
You can also just use like natural soap and water as well, whatever. I don't want to say whatever soap you use on your body because again, if you're using the Bath and Body Works or something with a bunch of fragrances and dyes, you don't want to put that on something that is going inside.
I just wanted to see how you're not putting.
And it smells good too, right?
It does. Oh, it has a nice little fragrance.
Yeah.
This is all the fragrance you need. You don't need to be
Exactly.
spraying no Victoria's Secret shit on there on top of it.
Exactly. So you want to be really careful about what goes inside you. So
Or inside your partner.
Exactly. Inside anything. And when we say inside, it could be mouth, it could be any other orifice where you're putting things. So you want to know that what you're putting inside your mouth, inside your vagina, inside your anus are like
Ears, nose, whatever.
exactly whatever
Wherever
it's
it's
coming
sticking.
in contact with. You want to make sure that what's on it is safe for your body.
Yeah.
So using the most natural products possible, using things that don't have a lot of dyes and fragrances.
No dyes, no fragrance. We have any more questions? Okay.
There was a follow-up question. When should I throw out toys?
Ooh.
There are a lot of possible answers to that question. I tend to throw out toys after breakups, just because I don't like to hold on to the energy of, a previous partner. Like if it was a toy that I really liked and would like to repurchase, I can totally do that. But I don't necessarily want to have that energy or that memory of like, oh, this is something that I did with this person. Also, I would say that you should just be mindful of how your toys look and how they age. Different materials are going to age differently, and so if you look at a toy and it's starting to wear, if it's something that's made out of like rubber or silicone and it's starting to do that little peely thing that rubber does, you're probably going to want to get rid of that.
Because then that will leave all the little flirty thing in your body then.
Exactly, and then you don't want to have to do the like excavation of getting stuff out of there. If you have something with a motor, something that like vibrates, you're going to want to pay attention to how the motor sounds over time. And thanks to sex tech, motors are getting like much more advanced and do all sorts of great things and stick around for.
I love it, sex tech. So it's not just the battery that will make them?
So a lot of the newer sex toys aren't battery operated.
Oh, they got like a charger?
They charge like a phone.
I'm so behind.
They charge like a phone.
I have got to
It's
upgrade.
amazing. You just plug it in at night right next to your phone and it gets the job done. A lot of them will stay charged for up to like 90 minutes.
Wow.
So you can get a lot done in 90 minutes
For
depending
sure.
on how your body works.
Wow.
But yeah, you want to pay attention to how the motor sounds over
Okay.
time. If it is battery operated, you do of course want to change your batteries before you just throw the whole thing out.
Right.
Also, if you have battery operated toys, don't store them with the batteries in them. Batteries can corrode and the acid will leak out and destroy your toy. So if you open up your toy and you notice that your batteries have corroded, you might want to throw that toy away because there's no way to really like clear out battery acid.
Yeah. Ooh, imagine that. Never mind. That just gave me a little situation down there. Got a question?
Yes, we have a question from a viewer. They said, where would you suggest someone to attend in order to find their sexual pleasure and do it in a safe way? I guess they're referencing maybe clubs, parties, things like that.
Absolutely. This is such a great and fitting question.
And segue.
Exactly. So there are events in almost every major city about sexuality and exploration. You might see them marketed as swingers events, or you might see them with a little more clever names, like this one. So I actually am a part of a collective based out of DC called the Ho Hive. I lost my flyer. There we go. But we have an event almost every month now.
Yeah.
We've been going for 2 years now, consistently, same venue, and a very loyal following. But we produce events called Taste, Touch, Feel. And each event has a different theme, but has the same 3 components. So the first component is a burlesque and variety show where you get to see some really sexy and amazing performers that kind of get you in the mind space of like, oh, like I'm feeling a little turned on, I like what I see. And when I say burlesque, our performers do everything. We've had aerialists. Have you seen those like things that look like hula hoops that hang from the ceiling?
Yeah.
We have people in those like dancing and just putting on an amazing show. We have fire artists, we have hoop artists, we have the venue has like a really beautiful setup with like a cage, like a go-go cage. If you have a go-go dancer fantasy, you can experience that there. But yeah, so you get the show aspect of it. And the second part of it is the education component. So each show features a sex educator in addition to myself. I'm the host of the show. And so I'm able to plug in facts along the way as we're going on throughout the show. And we bring in a sex educator to give more specific information on kinks and fetishes and how to safely do certain things, what materials or supplies you might want to have on hand for what activities. And so that's always really great to be able to just have that like educational component.
Right.
So we have to want folks right in. Because the third component is an after party where you're able to kind of explore what you might have learned during the show.
And interactive adult play dates.
Exactly. So we have a DJ, there's a pool table, there's a cute little lounge area, so there's no pressure to engage with anybody, there's no pressure to, explore. I always suggest coming with a friend, somebody that you're super comfortable with. I think that it can be an intimidating setting for couples depending on if you're both on the same page when it comes to exploring in that way.
Ooh, and I was talking about that.
If you go in and your partner's like, ooh, yeah, I'm trying to hook up with somebody, and you're like, I just came to show off my outfit.
Right.
They said it was a theme.
And now we're about to do all this.
So I would suggest for first timers to go with somebody that you're super comfortable with. It could be your good girlfriend, it could be your homie that you don't have any sort of romantic or intimate thing with, so that you're just going to learn and to experience. And so I think that having somebody to be comfortable with in those spaces is really important, and it doesn't have to be a partner.
And tell us about this location and when this party will be.
So my next party is on October 26th. It is in DC at a venue called The Crucible. It is a lifestyle club complete with plenty of things that the average person does not have in their home. So if you have ever looked into BDSM and some of the equipment that is used, you might have seen something called a St. Andrew's cross, which is like a big piece of wood with some hooks on it that you can tie someone to.
I've seen that before.
See, that's usually the thing that I reference. Folks are like, oh, I've seen that before. It might have been in Game of Thrones or something. But
Didn't know for sure what to do with it.
Exactly.
But I've seen it.
But the space gives you the opportunity to see those things used and to try them out, and then maybe one day say, I would like to get a membership somewhere like this so that I can go every month and try something out. Or I'm ready to make the investment and buy or build my own in my home and keep it in my garage and tell people I hang towels on it. And we can do that too.
Wow, so that was good because I knew that you did this, but good just knowing that people do have somewhere to go and those, because a lot of people, I know for myself, before I met people personally that had engaged or ever been to a swingers club or anything, it's like a secret society, so it's not really a way to find out how to get in and where they are, and it's just you could be driving right past and you never know.
Exactly.
So it's how do you get in? Now we know you.
Yeah, and I think that one of the great things about this kind of community is that it is very word of mouth, so it can be really safe once you find
Yeah.
your niche. I think that for Black folks, for women, for queer people, even for folks of different body types, fat folks, I think that it's really important that we all have spaces where we feel safe and honored and not fetishized.
Right.
Not being the person who has like a fetish for large bodies, and so like they're targeting
Yeah.
people. So you want to make sure that the spaces that you go to explore are safe, and so ours are set up so that you can kind of feel it out before you are ever, you know, exposed to even what the play environment is. Like you get to come to the show, you get to see demonstrations, you get to get comfortable before you know, get the opportunity to play.
I like that you said that because a lot of people don't realize, like, when you think of fetish, you think of like basic, like, oh, you have a foot fetish, or oh, you have the feathers, or you know, anything like that, but not realizing that those fetishes, that's why I wanted you to get into those, because like there is something for everybody, everybody's fetishing on something, or I don't know if that's the word, fetishizing.
yeah, fetishizing.
So, you know, just not realizing that, you know, everybody has that. So when you did speak on like people that do have like fat fetish or, you know, things like that, it's like, oh, now you feel targeted. Like, oh, you're the one with the big butt or
Exactly.
the big breast. It's just like, oh, y'all burning me out.
Exactly.
I'd rather just not be here. So
Right, because a fetish can be something harmless. It can be something that like everybody gets to enjoy with consent. But a fetish can also come from a place of malice. It can come from a place of like, well, I am not comfortable expressing my attraction to this type of person out in my real life, so
Right.
I'm going to only engage in this here.
Yeah.
So it can definitely create some unsafe dynamics depending on, you know, how everybody in the situation feels about it. If folks consent to it, I'm all about it. I know plenty of Black women who have like white men as their subs and as their, you know, I don't want to say sugar daddies, but you know, there's all sorts of words for, you know, the financial relationship. I mean, financial dominatrixes are a growing industry.
A growing industry. I need to get in on it.
So, you know, folks have figured it out. Folks have figured out how to turn like fetishization and those types of desires that folks aren't able to share in their, you know, vanilla lives for whatever reason. And like, figure out how to capitalize on it.
I'm loving this vanilla term. I just don't want to be that now. Now that I know that that's a word or that's a term, I'm just like, that's my goal in life, is to strive to not be a vanilla. I want to be like, but I need to be like a cookies and cream.
Yeah, you can like take steps. You can move up and, you know, try a few different
I don't need to be
flavors
like
and stuff like
funfetti,
that.
but little cookies and cream going up to maybe a little Neapolitan.
Neapolitan is a good goal.
I think that's good. Trifecta for me. So what else you got over here?
Oh, I do have more stuff. So,
Cause she got some stuff, y'all.
can I just like use this table? So,
Yes,
I had
sure.
Toy Cleaner from #LubeLife, and I also have Lube from #LubeLife. This is actually one of my favorite lubes to use for play and for demonstrations. One, because you can get them too. Yeah, like a little bit goes a long way. And I think that there's a lot of stigma around the use of lube. A lot of folks are under the impression that like,
This is turning me on.
it's a good feeling, right? So a lot of folks think that like, oh well, like if she doesn't get wet enough on her own, then like it's not good, or she's you know been with X amount of partners or whatever, and it can create a lot of pressure on a person to like, need their body to do a particular thing.
Yeah.
And you don't need to rely solely on what your body naturally produces. Like it could be a number of reasons why you don't self-lubricate enough to like keep the session going. You could be dehydrated, you could be tired, you could be drunk. Like there's all sorts of things.
That drunk sex do not hit like that.
That is another common misconception. Folks think that like, oh yeah, if you want to get down, if you want to do some stuff you've never done before, then like get drunk and just try it. But getting drunk, yes, it lowers your inhibitions, but it could very well be to a point where you can't consent. And also, like, your body just does not function the same way when you're drunk. So
Can't
things,
throw it back the way you thought you
right,
would.
so things that, like, you might be used to, you're like, oh, if I used to throw it in this particular way, if I'm used to, like, relaxing and things opening up naturally. Okay, I mean, it is a good texture. But yes, lube is something that is great to have on hand, no matter if it's for solo play, if it's for partner play. I don't think folks should be self-conscious about using lube. And also, spit is not lube. Another common porn misconception that when you see somebody just like spit on something, put something in there, then it is adequately lubricated. No, like the more the better. So you saw I only use like a little bit, and we can still feel it on our hands.
I rub mine in like lotion, Sharon.
I mean, like, use enough to do what it is that you're trying to do,
That's what
and you
it's
can
for.
always add more, and there's plenty in there. Like, you don't
Plenty
have to worry about running out.
And keep it nice and juicy to keep the party going.
Exactly. So I also brought goodies. So these are B condoms. They're a black-owned condom company.
Oh, nice.
So a lot of folks think that like Lifestyles and Magnums or whatever are the only condoms that are out there, and that is not true. There are plenty of brands out there. There are some with cute little designs on them. There are some that, you know, support particular initiatives. But I was really excited to find that there was a black-owned condom company.
For sure.
You can actually keep those.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, if you want to just pass them around, let folks know, like, hey, there is a black-owned condom company.
Yeah.
And it is called B Condoms, bcondoms.com, or B Condoms on Instagram. Just
And
go
they got
there.
shiny paper just like me.
Exactly.
It's silver.
And if you go to their site and use the code Jennifer Eden, you get 20% off. So,
Write it
don't say I
down.
didn't give you nothing.
Don't say that. I won't. I'm about to write the code down too. I'll be letting y'all know about all this stuff.
As you should. So yeah, share the wealth, B Condoms, 20% off. Also, Indigo Honey is like my favorite place to get toys for my work and for myself. So this is like my new fave for demos, and it comes in this cute little box.
Lovely.
And
I
I
just
just
pair of shoes in there.
I just really love the colors.
It's
like
so
it's so pretty, and to me, like unintimidating. I think that a lot of toys, when they look skin colored, they can be really intimidating for folks. And so it's important to like get comfortable with your toys, and also just comfortable talking about like.
I had the opposite issue with toys. When I first got into toys, it was a while ago, y'all. And I felt like childish because I had a purple fucking dildo.
My first one was pink, so.
No, my first one was pink, and I had a purple one for a while, and I was like, what am I doing?
So for me, my logic was always just that like I don't want it to mimic an anatomical penis, and so I was always on the side of like having a colorful one. So I mean, it can definitely go either way when it comes to that argument. Some folks definitely like want it to look more realistic, and there are some out there that look very like veiny, and you can even get them with like hair on them and like a really like developed ball
Hair?
region. Yeah, you can.
I don't like the
get
balls
things-
either.
I prefer for my toys not to have balls. It's this one. Also, I think that this one is really good for demonstrations and discussion because it gives you the opportunity to kind of have a measurement and be like, would you be comfortable with this much of it?
like the
this
color.
much of it? Or you could like make it fun and be like, I'm gonna put the pink part in. Can you take the orange part also? Well, how about the purple part? And so it gives you a way to talk about it in a way that one gives you a visual cue,
Right.
and two gives you like language that's already in your vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to figure out how to say like how much.
Can you take it in inches or not?
Exactly.
No, I don't think so. We got another question.
One viewer would like to know, should protection be used with oral sex?
You know, that is another polarizing question. I think that when it comes to protection, it's always about how much risk you are willing to take.
Yeah.
I think that any sex act should have a little bit of like examination before you do it. And so it can be really awkward to try to like play doctor with a partner and, you know, see what's going on. But if there's anything visibly lacerated or any like open wounds that you see, any scratches, then like, yes, you want to ask about those, and you want to decide if you want to put a barrier in place, like a condom or a dental dam, or if it feels more serious and you want to go seek medical intervention before you decide to move forward.
Right.
And so that's definitely something to be mindful of. There are always invisible risks as well. So again, it's about how much risk you are willing to take. If you and your partner, you know, understand that you are only with each other and you really believe this person when they say it, and you know you're being honest.
Not if you know this person is out here fucking sucking everybody.
you know that there's much less risk in a monogamous situation than in a casual situation or a situation where there are multiple partners. And so if you've had the discussions and, you know, gotten tested for all of the things, and you feel comfortable going in with no protection, and that is what is comfortable for all parties involved, go for it. But just know that you are assuming invisible risk, and know that there are things out there in place. There are flavored condoms. You can always use regular condoms for oral sex as well. Just don't use a lubricated one, because most non-flavored lubes just don't taste great.
Yeah.
So like you're probably not going to be that enthused if you're like sucking on something and you don't like the flavor. But there's also dental dams for oral on a vagina or an anus. And so you want to be able to create that barrier as well when you're exploring.
Hit the barriers, y'all, because you still want to do it. One more question. A is into you.
How do women have orgasms during sex?
I was waiting for it.
I mean, yes, I can't tell you how often I get answered some very.
I was waiting for it. I was gonna ask, but I'm like, I know somebody else wants to know.
The answer is, just like I said before, your pleasure is your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't tell you how women achieve orgasm, because every body is different. Everybody responds differently to different stimuli. Everybody requires a different amount of foreplay or external stimulation or internal stimulation. And so it can be a number of things that create that perfect combination to get that person there. But I think that it is important for everybody to know that the clitoris is there solely for the purpose of pleasure. So don't ignore it. I'm gonna look right into the camera when I say it. Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore her.
The clitoris is there simply to make the person whose body it is attached to feel good. So, like I said, some people want a lot of attention there. For some people, that can be the entire sexual experience and you never insert anything.
Yeah.
And so that could very well be the combination for that person. For other people, it could be a combination of like clitoral stimulation and internal stimulation. It could be a little like we do this and then we do this. And so it's important to figure out what your combination is and be able to like build on it depending on, you know, your partner or your comfort level or what you wanna try. But yes, the clitoris is there simply to
Pay attention to the clitoris, she's telling y'all. But I think that it goes back to what you were saying earlier, that, what did you call it, personal exploration?
Mm-hmm.
Personal exploration is how you'll figure that out. So even before you put that on your partner, even before you engage with your partner, you know what you like. You've already kind of played around down there and
Exactly.
figured it out.
Exactly.
So you can direct them. Like, hey, go to the left.
And things can feel different when you do it versus when someone else does it. Because you're working with kind of a limited range of motion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're going for is down there, your hands are up here. Like you can only work from a certain number of
Yeah, you got
angles.
our purpose. And I think that's why I'm on
And that's a real thing. Like you have to be mindful of, you know, physical barriers as well. So if there is, you know, if you have carpal tunnel, if you're prone to cramping, if you know that like I'm just not going to have the stamina to keep my arm going this long, then you need to be able to make those accommodations. But your partner might not have the same issues. So if you know that you really like a lot of clitoral stimulation, but like your hand gets tired after a while, then you might want to find a toy that does that. Or you might want to tell your partner, hey, this is what I would like you to do. And like, I will tell you when I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, you'll know.
You know.
You'll know. We're going to keep the lines of communication open so that you know when I'm
Pay attention. Yeah.
A viewer would like to know, how do I make sure I orgasm during sex? Where is my G-spot?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm going to take on the second question first, because that is the one that is a little easier to answer.
Okay.
So, what is known as the G-spot is located inside of the vaginal canal, and they tell you to reach it by sticking a finger or two
Everybody?
inside and pressing upward. And there's a little patch that will feel a little bit different than the other skin around it. So, just reach in there again, take a little time to explore and see if you can find it.
Okay.
And again, we're working within our own limits, right? So if you have particularly short fingers or short arms, like you might not be able to reach your own. That doesn't mean you don't have one. That doesn't mean yours is broken. It could mean that it needs to be reached from a different angle. It could be that
You can prop your legs up.
exactly.
Whatever you gotta do.
But it's not something you're gonna see from the outside. So you
Exactly.
can't hold a mirror up
You
to
got to
your
feel it.
vulva and see your G-spot because it is inside. So I definitely suggest using fingers or a toy to reach in there and see if you can find it, or to try to coach your partner to find it, which segues into the answer to the next question. The goal of sex doesn't always have to be orgasm. It could be exploration. And once you get to the point where you're like, wow, that does feel good, and I didn't realize that that was going to feel good. Thanks for that experience.
I appreciate it,
And that doesn't have to mean either person achieves an orgasm. It doesn't have to mean either person comes. It doesn't mean that, like, I think that we define sex in like one particular way, right? We think like something goes inside something and then like somebody comes, usually if there's a person with penis in the situation, then like, oh, once he comes, it's over. But that's not the case.
And that's not fair.
It's not fair, and I think that is why the orgasm gap exists. They say that I think it's 80% of women don't experience orgasm. No, I think it was 80% have lied about an orgasm or have faked an orgasm, but it was somewhere around 50 to 60% that just don't achieve orgasm through the sex that they are having. And I think that that's a really important caveat, that like the sex that they are having is not making them get there. And that could very well be because they haven't communicated what it is that they want. It could be that their partner just isn't trying to listen. It could be that they don't know. That maybe they haven't been exposed to what it is that they're really into because they're just having missionary
damn book. Right. Because missionary is not, I mean, it could get the job done.
Absolutely.
But you gotta know. So I think it is very important. Like, I'm glad you brought the books in just to kind of give that understanding of there's so much more out there, because 50% is a lot.
Absolutely.
That's a lot. Come on, sisters, now. That's unfortunate. And I'm glad I'm not one of them. However, this is no shade. I think I lived a long amount of my life before I, wasn't really able to have that. So it says to say, like, if those are the statistics, then so many more of us don't know or are not and think we're doing something that we have just not been doing, which means it's a whole new.
Exactly. A whole new world
that we just have yet to experience and see. So, of course, that's why I wanted to bring the lovely Miss Jennifer Eden on here to let you guys know that there's so many different ways to explore and get to know your body, talk to your partner. That sounds like the highlight, communicating with your partner and, exploring on your own. Exploring on your own, figuring some stuff out. I think that they needed to know that. Exactly. I want to give people some more info, leave them with something.
Well, I can let the folks know where to find me.
Of course.
So you can find me online at Slut of the Month. I love explaining my Instagram name. So Slut of the Month is not something that I just chose out of the blue. It was something that was given to me by Amber Rose and the whole Slut Walk team. They came out about 2 years ago with a monthly subscription box called the Slut Box, and each month with that, box of slut goodies, which was really like treats and condoms and feminist empowerment stickers. Right. It was really cute. But there was a different sex educator or like sex influencer every month who was named Slut of the Month, and I was the very first one for the work that I did in Baltimore with the Queer Community Center there, and bringing in workshops that really centered sexual empowerment and sexual liberation in the queer context. And so that is why I am Slut of the Month.
That is why she's Slut of the Month. You got a question?
Yes. A viewer would like to know, when is the event and what is your Instagram?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So if you go to my Instagram and click on the little link in my bio, it'll actually list my next several events. So the event that we talked about here today is on October 26th. That is a Saturday. It's the Saturday before Halloween. Therefore, it is our Halloween costume ball. So you can bring out all your sexy costumes and come party with us. I have
Any questions for?
tons of stuff coming up this month. I have my vanilla show, Poetry and Pasties. It is a burlesque and poetry open mic at West Wisdom Poets, also in DC. And that happens the second Saturday of every month. So DC area viewers and folks who don't mind a little bit of a drive can definitely come down for Poetry and Pasties. Also, at the end of the month, I'll be in New Orleans for the weekend soiree. It is a queer women's weekend getaway. It happens every year in a different city. And this year they chose my favorite city, which is New Orleans. So I'm really excited to go. I am going to be hosting a show there with the Whole Hive. There's a ton of other like workshops and all of the like every famous queer woman you can think of. I mean, like maybe except Lena Waithe, although like if she decided to roll through, I wouldn't be surprised. But
So you know how to follow her. She has all the info, everything will be on her page. Make sure you follow Jennifer Eden at Slut of the Month. I want to thank you so much for coming in. She gave us so much good information. And y'all can catch the replay.